Coming up on this episode of Common Denominator.
Man, I wish it was like a rated R podcast. I'd tell you how it really was, but just know it was the best energy.
Hi, and welcome to Common Denominator. Straight up conversations with me, Moshe Popack. This week, football and philanthropy. The Super Bowl is February 13th. For any football player, it's the ultimate honor. And today, we're honored to chat with former NFL safety Roman Harper, who played in 2 Super Bowls, winning one as a New Orleans Saint. We'll talk about that championship, his work in New Orleans, helping the community heal after Hurricane Katrina, and the impact he has on children through his Harper's Hope 41 Foundation. Roman, thank you so much, and welcome to Common Denominator.
Hey, man, thanks for having me, Moshe. Appreciate it, bro. It's an honor.
Thank you. So, Roman, take us back, 2010, you win the Super Bowl. What memory of all the things that you can think back about, what sticks out the most in your mind?
Well, it kind of goes back. I got to go back just a little bit because you can't just like win a Super Bowl, right? It's things that kind of happen. So get to New Orleans in 2006. That's how I was drafted, second round, 43rd overall. You never forget those things. Yeah. And so then, come in with Drew, Sean, that whole class, and we go through they get to the NFC Championship first year. So you think it's a little easy. Lose year. We're like 8-8. Then fourth year, we make it, we bring in some key free agents. The team just kind of fit. And so the game itself, it's exciting. And when you look back on it, you can watch the tape over. But in my real honest to just God truth is that it's about the relationships I got from it. That's the most important thing. The friendships, the people, like you don't really remember anything about the game besides the opening kickoff. You see all the flashing lights. That's the one thing. But then after that, it settles right into a normal game. So the games, I don't really remember any tackles, any plays. Wow. But afterwards, and the relationships I got from the Super Bowl was awesome. Just so it really just worked out, man. And It was the best thing ever for the city. Seeing how the city of New Orleans looked after Hurricane Katrina, to seeing what it meant to so many people, winning a Super Bowl, actually sharing that special moment with not only some of my best friends to this day, but also my family and everybody getting to share into that. And now that I'm on this far out of it, man, it's really special. And it's hard that I wish I'd have took more advantage of.
Well, I'll tell you something. I want to go back for a second because everybody I know that's a champion always says something very similar to what you said. It's kind of like that muscle memory. When the time comes and everything's clicking, it's something kind of spiritual in a way, it seems, that a collective of the friends that you made, and you just kind of know. I know you had 8 tackles that game, right? And it seems probably something beyond, all the hard work, all the dedication from the whole team coming together. You don't even really have a clue. I mean, I think back in a very small memory, kind of like my wedding. It's like a ton of people, and I don't even have a memory of it. It was like in Manhattan, 600 people. All different. It was crazy, but those crazy events you don't even remember, And I love that you said that it's about the friendships. It's about the friendships. Are you still in touch with some of the guys?
I'm in touch with just about all those guys. That is such a special team. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah. I played football since I was in 4th grade, right? So I've been on a lot of teams, and so winning football, that was the first time I ever won like a real championship. I didn't win a college football. I didn't win a national championship. And it's just so hard. Yeah. And so when I'm telling you, man, it's just special memories that you always remember. The people, the friendships, and who you got to do that with. Like, I'll never forget the last speech, that Sean Payton gave after the season was, he said, man, I have nothing to say. Just, we did it. Yeah. Like, we did it. And told you when the parade was. And when you get to share in a meeting like that, right? Your last meeting where you didn't, because it's always about the next practice, the next grind. next season we got to be da da da. It's always trying to chase that perfection. And in a non-perfect sport, that's what football is. And so it really does change you and mold you into a certain type of way that you get to carry on life lessons like football, athletics, all these things teach you real life lessons that you get to carry on with you.
I want to just tell you, I just read an article, and you talk about the grind, but it's also knowing when you've arrived. I just saw an article. I forgot her name, but she just became the CEO of Ancestry.com. It's like a $5 billion company, and she worked for Facebook for maybe 10 years. And she grew up in a small town in South Korea, and she always had that fight, that grind. You know, when you're surviving, and every athlete and every person has that same DNA, meaning I'm going to do whatever it takes every single day. You know, I think about Michael Phelps, right? Doing that grind twice a day. It's like, what are we going to do? But when she said Sheryl Sandberg, who's the COO of Facebook, she basically came to her and said, you don't need to fight anymore. You've made it. You've won. And I think that lesson also, right, when you're just like, you're grinding, you're doing the things, setting the lights and all those things, but you've done all that work, and just take that extra step and realize that, you know what, you've earned that next step.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And just enjoy it. Enjoy it with your loved ones, with your family, with your friends. And I think that that's for the listeners. I think that that's super important. And I want to go back also, you know, obviously 2006, a year, maybe even less, since Hurricane Katrina, you get drafted to New Orleans, right? So what was the scene?
Correct.
Like, what was the scene when you got to New Orleans at that point?
So I'd been down there to New Orleans one time. Me and my brothers, my oldest brother lived in Mobile, Alabama. So I went down when I was in college, just one random night. We went to Bourbon Street. So I'd seen Bourbon Street. It's fine. I didn't know anything about New Orleans. So when I first pull in, because I could drive down from a college, I was at University of Alabama. I'm from Alabama. My parents' home is, 4.5 hours, whatever.
Yeah.
So I drive down, and it looked like a bomb had went off. Like, the trees were all like laying sideways. As you coming into New Orleans East, they had an old Six Flags that was right there on the left. It looked like two flags. It was like desolate out there. Then as you roll into New Orleans East, that I know very well now, off over there by Bullard exit and stuff, like you could see like buildings down. They had windows blown out everywhere. A big Walmart looked like it'd been ransacked and on fire. There were stop signs, like signs just missing all over the place. You know, you look at a street and it doesn't even have a sign. And it was water damage everywhere. You could see where the water line was at on Highway 610 going towards downtown. I remember that very vividly. It was different. I would just say that is what New Orleans was when I got there in 2006. And to see where it is nowadays, it's beautiful, but it's definitely different, but it's always will be New Orleans. Like, it won't change because that is who it is. It's the people.
And I also remember
it's the culture. It's everything. It's a very special place.
Yeah. So I've been there. I've been there once, and I love the energy. So I agree with you. But I also remember, I have this memory where they used the stadium. Did they set up like tents inside the stadium? Was that kind of when you were there, or kind of right before?
No. So that happened all before me.
Right.
So I'm so glad I didn't have to go through that. Look,
right.
Those people went through so many things. You know, one of the biggest things the vivid memory I have is of the FEMA trailers everywhere.
Right.
FEMA trailers were everywhere in New Orleans at the time. So that was in 2006 when I got there. 2005 was when Katrina hit. And I'm so glad I didn't have to live through that, because all the team had to go to San Antonio. They called it Katrina stress inside the lot, like inside the facility. It was like a whole Katrina stress year. And the people that lived through it and played through it didn't last too much longer after that.
Right. They got burnt out. I know, but I know some a lot of different athletes came together to even help rebuild homes. I saw that. I remember that.
Yeah, man. I tag team with some of my friends and some of my former teammates, and it was me and Darren Sharper the first year, and then after that, we progressed to build more and more houses. It was a great idea, man, to team up down there in New Orleans with United Way and things like that, man. And they were awesome. And these families, I've kept a relationship with Mr. Harold Lumpkin. And like I helped rebuild his home, and man, he still checks on me every Thanksgiving. Like, so for me, like I said, the relationships, like
Yes.
redoing those things and donating the money, like that was nothing at the time. Was I even doing it for those same reasons? I don't know. I felt like it was a good thing. It was helping somebody, but the relationship I got out of it was really, really cool.
And it's
And
funny.
Mr. Lumpkin and I still talk to this day. And I built
Yeah.
his house on like the second or third year. We did it for quite a few years. We got to rebuild quite a few homes in New Orleans. It was actually a really cool deal.
But I'm seeing is from your energy, like in other words, meaning and purpose. Like it's like, wow, like to a layperson, okay, play college football, actually make it to the NFL, and actually, win a Super Bowl in anybody's life. Oh, that's what I want. That's what I want to do. But here I am. I'm speaking with you, Roman, and all I'm hearing is about stories about things that are meaningful beyond the sport, things that developed friendships and bonds, and that's a very important message that I'd love the listeners to really feel and understand about building meaning, building community, and I think of all things, especially now during COVID, just reach out to somebody, help them with if they're older, help them with some groceries, help them do things.
So one great thing that I have been able to pick up here and there is like I always try and learn something from someone. So I'm a goal-oriented person. So that was one of my goals, is that I've got to make sure I check on somebody, right? Just write it down and put it in front of you too, so you see it. It's a constant reminder, like keep it in front of you. Because I'm the same guy that I didn't grow up like as this like 5-star athlete and like all these, like what some people think their story or the journey is for the Black athlete or the Black football player. So, I had both my parents. I was the youngest in my family, and I was just happy to play football,
Yeah.
and that was the goal and that was the dream, and you chase it. You put it so much in front of you, and all you do is know, and you go, and when you make it, but you also have to have other dreams as well. And that just doesn't, and because I continue to try and grow, I think I can speak on it from more of a personal note that isn't the end, right? Like I'm retired at like 35, but I got so much more life in front of me, and what is to do next? So you have to try and continue to learn and grow. And the relationships you have and the things that God has put you through to put you where you are, wherever that is in your life right now, you're not supposed to go through life alone. So if you continue to reach out and don't burn bridges and actually try and mend bridges and build communication and lines of different communication, man. I'm so blessed and just fortunate to actually know the people that I know and been able to do the things that I do. But I do appreciate that football has allowed me to open so many doors for me, to allow me to see so many things, not only me, but my family, my friends. We got to see and do a lot. And I can just speak on it from a personal basis,
Yeah, and I know also you have a foundation, Harper's Hope 41. Tell us a little bit about that foundation, because I think that's great work that you're doing.
So my mom and I kind of started like way back when. I just always wanted to make sure I give back and did something, so that was always important to me. And we started with one idea, and it just kind of just went on from everywhere else. And so it was more of just starting something to raise money to be able to give it back to anybody we choose to. And for all different ways, like I said, we help rebuild homes. I do a Christmas thing every year where we come in, we give away thousands and thousands of dollars worth of presents to different families in my hometown in Prattville. We do a Christmas in here in Charlotte. And also I would always try and give, and also we try and do things in New Orleans, or at least help donate to another foundation or organization that is doing those things. Like my girl Jen Hale does things and things like that in New Orleans. So if I'm not there directly, I want to be involved with something down there. Why? Because that's just where they've given to me, and I want to give back. So I always have a special place for those places. Those are my homes. So yeah, that's what we tried to do, man. And it was all based upon after school programs with kids, and always trying to make sure we early stage reading for children. I know how important that is. And just that if you're not reading at grade level by 4th grade, then you're so far behind, right?
Yes.
In the first 3 years of school, you learn how to read. From 4th grade on, You learn from reading. So if you're behind, then you start to act out, and it's just a carryover. So just really picking up those early level skills of reading and development, it really boosts everybody's chance.
So I know you're talking about kids. Would you obviously, some press about injuries, concussions, things obviously in the football space. Would you would you promote if your kids want to play football? Would you push them towards that knowing
Of course.
right.
Why would I not? I'd be dumb not to.
Right.
My father played, my brother played, I played, and I made it professionally. My father did too for a second. So, I mean, it's in you.
Yeah.
And if you choose to have it, and I'm not gonna make you shout. What I'm going to do is teach you how to do it correctly.
Right.
And making sure you protect yourself. And I'd also say, if he's not fast enough to protect himself, then he shouldn't be touching the ball, especially at a young age. Right. So often kids get hurt when they're younger because they don't know what they're doing. And when you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what you're looking at, blah, blah, that's when you get hit. You must know what you're doing, so then you are able to protect yourselves. Why do you think the best players in the world run around all the time and we don't hit in practice? Why? Because we know what we're doing.
Yeah. We
know how to play, where to hit people, all these other things. Now, I'm the one, but I've done it. I could teach my child how to do that. Not everybody has that choice. But if my kids also chose to do some other things, I'd support them in that as well. So, but that's just life. That's me.
100%. That's first of all, in general, I'm a big believer with kids that I always say, let them figure out who they are and do what they love. That's our job. The way I see it as parents, right? Our parents, it's like, okay, we want to be so harsh on our kids, but you have to help them find out who they are, right? Because then they'll be happy. Don't you want your kids to be happy, right? I always think about that, right? So now and I understand that, right? So you train them. Like I've been training martial arts 8 years, and I have my top 6 kids. They we go on the mat and we train. That's what we do, and I'm going back to the foundation. We're teaching the basics. We're going back, and every day. That's super important, and I really think it's also cool. I knew you doing some sports casting, college football. How's that experience?
It's been awesome, man. In all honesty, it's it keeps me around football. I get to cover the SEC, which is awesome. It's the best conference in NCAA, and I get to see some of the best players. It also helps that my team is good right now. Alabama, a lot better than when I was there. We weren't even good then, so. So it feels it's easy for me, and I get to watch it, and all I do is study tape now. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I could be an NFL scout just about. Yeah, I watch a lot of tape, and I just watch all the players, and that's what I do. So it's not bad at all. I really actually enjoy it, and it's kind of cool.
I saw it was something interesting. I think it was like 2 months ago. Was Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, right? So he just announced, and I think I saw that a couple of years ago. They were trying to start a offshoot of the NFL. I think it was a XFL, maybe it was. And I think
he just bought he bought some league again.
Right. Maybe they were floundering, and it's great because he's got a great social media, and I know he's got his energy drink and he's got his tequila. And everything. So that might be interesting to see how that league develops. That'll be interesting to see.
So the biggest thing is, if you want a second league to be successful, you cannot. The hardest part is that there's only so many good quarterbacks in the world. Okay.
Right.
So when people want to see anything better than college, they want anything better than college material. Okay. So if you call yourselves professional or semi-professional, then it has to look that way too, or you're just like college. Now, the other antics and things like that can add to the TV viewership, yes. But eventually, the product has to be good.
Right.
So it's only so many quarterbacks. And also, how many times can we get, NFL retreads? That's also the other issue. And now that NFL has expanded the practice squads for everyone, that also takes away from good players who they normally could not have. Only that, but also they can keep older practice squad guys around too.
Right.
So you're not going to be able to get a good, decent retread as well.
Right. That's a fair point. In reality, right, you might get the hype, but is it going to last? Right. From a business perspective.
One of my restaurant friends told me that all the time. He said, bro, you can open up in the nicest, grandest place. It's going to be fine. But eventually, if you open up a restaurant, the food has to be good or it doesn't matter.
It's funny.
It won't make it.
You mentioned I was in Amsterdam, and it was funny. I just came out of the.
I love that place.
Best energy, right? Awesome. Right. So I come out, and you know how they have like this little hole in the wall. The only thing they're serving is these fries. It's called Versi Valamis Fritz. It's this little hole in the wall, a line around the corner, right? The one thing, right? Fries. And like 30 different dips. It's like, and these little pitchforks, and everybody's just waiting, right? So that's it. Like 1 or 2 items, but just do it well, consistently every day, right? Make the people happy, right?
That's all it is, man.
Yeah. How could the listeners reach out, find you on social media, find out about your foundation?
Man, it's Harp _41 on Instagram, Harp41 on Twitter. And my foundation's website is harpersoak41.org. And I'm trying to get everything streamlined into one. I need to start a YouTube channel. My wife's going to make me do it soon. So
there you go.
She's starting to crack the whip as my business manager.
By the way, behind every great man is a great woman. You know that already, right?
I do know that. And
that's it.
My man Shannon Self was always talking about Hurricane Heather, boy. She don't play.
That's right. Mama Bear, don't mess with her, right? Listen, Roman, it's been great. Blessings to you and your family. Thank you so much. Really.
Hey, man, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for having me. Roll Tide and who dat, and stay blessed, man. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks for listening to the Common Denominator podcast. Join us next week for another inspiring, impactful, and empowering conversation. To learn more about Moshe, head to MoshePopack.com. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to share it. And we'd be grateful if you could rate, review, and subscribe to the show.